on Missing Live, two parents wait for their son in the arrivals lounge of an airport.
The plane lands, the doors open, but Eddie's not on board.
He's vanished on the other side of the world. Can you help us find him? This is Missing Live on Bank Holiday Monday. So far in the series, missing people have received hundreds of calls from you. Last week, 3 people were found, and we've got more good news for you today. So thank you for all your help.
But we still need all the assistance you can give. If you think you can help trace any of our cases, please get in touch. The number's free phone 0500 700 700. There are people waiting to take your calls now. And one of those people is George from Missing People. Good morning, George.
Good
Have you got
morning.
any news for us or anything that happened over the weekend?
Well, Hazel Bridgman, fantastic news. She has been found over the weekend. She was a 65-year-old missing from Harlesden. She went missing last Tuesday. And she's now back at home with her family. There was quite a lot of concern for her, so yeah, we're really
There was,
pleased.
wasn't there? There was health concerns there, but obviously she's safe and well and back with her family, which is the main thing, which is brilliant news. Anything else?
Well, as a result of Friday's programme, we took 10 calls about Joanne He. She's 17, she's missing from Manchester. We are very concerned because of her age. We are hoping that one of those sightings does lead to something positive.
Brilliant.
But, you know, we do need more calls.
Yeah, of course. I mean, 10 calls is good. 17, yeah, she's a Chinese girl, isn't she? I mean, she's obviously vulnerable because of her age, so let's hope that people get in contact there. Anything else, quite quickly?
Well, we're encouraged by the 3 calls we had about Patricia Duncan. She's nearly 6 years since she went missing, disappeared in the middle of the night. Family very concerned. So, you know, we're once again hoping that one of those calls does lead to something.
Yeah, 3 calls is better than no calls, but obviously 1 call can make all the difference. So let's hope people talk to you later on. Thank you, George. Now, if we have any news or sightings, we'll be bringing them to you throughout the programme. But if you have any questions for the team or stories you'd like to tell us, then please email missing.live@bbc.co.uk.
And coming up in about 20 minutes, we hear the story of a family reunited. 2 brothers and a sister, Paul, Mike and Sarita, have been watching Missing Live. They got in touch to tell us their story. They were reunited after 32 years, and they're here with us today.
Now, his room at university was left empty. Not only was Eddie missing, his passport was too. He could be anywhere in the world.
This is Eddie Gibson, aged 18.
Eddie's absolutely full of life, really adventurous and loved just getting into mischief.
He's got 2 brothers.
He was always lively, humorous, a bit of a handful, but a lovable handful.
Eddie is from Hove near Brighton. He's bright and does well at school.
He really did push himself. He did very well with his GCSEs, then went on to college, did his A-levels, and did really, really well.
He wants to go to university, but first he plans to take a gap year.
Ed actually had travelled a lot with us, and he wanted to go to just explore the world, really.
I think Ed just was just like, couldn't wait to leave, really, and just go and see the world, because he always wants to do that.
He spends 9 months touring Southeast Asia with his friends. He returns home in the summer of 2004.
It obviously made a big impression on him travelling. He loved the Far East, loved the people, and coming back to, you know, the UK is quite a change.
It just seemed like he was still, part of him was still out there, and he wanted to sort of still be out there, and he was quite kind of affected by it, I think.
In September 2004, Eddie starts at Leeds University.
I was of the opinion that you won't get very far in life if you didn't have a degree behind you. So he really pushed himself to get to Leeds.
But it's soon clear to his family that things aren't going well.
He rang me and he said that he was a bit worried about his studies.
And he was panicking. He was saying that he didn't really like the other half of his joint honours degree and that he wanted to change it.
Something wasn't right in that conversation.
They don't hear from him for a week. Then Eddie misses his brother's birthday on October the 6th.
I think about 4 or 5 days later, I really started to get worried. And I phoned the university and said that I was worried about Ed.
They then got in touch with the police and they broke into his room. There was no sign of him.
His main bag and passport, money and little personal possessions had gone.
He had disappeared.
Later on Missing Live, Eddie's family track him down, but he's 6,000 miles away.
We were just overjoyed. I mean, we were just so happy.
But his parents' relief is short-lived.
Horror just hit me and I'm just thinking, oh my God, what's happened here?
If you have any information that could lead to Eddie being found, please call Missing People on 0500 700 700. Landline calls are free, but calls from mobiles may vary.
Your help's needed to find 15-year-old Amy Fitzpatrick. She went missing on January the 1st this year from Calahonda near Marbella in Spain. She spoke to her mum to wish her a happy new year and hasn't been home since. Originally from Ireland, Amy is 5'4" with blue eyes and brown hair. And as this is a Spanish missing persons investigation, if you have any information on where Amy may be, please email us at missing.live@bbc.co.uk and then we can pass it on to the Spanish authorities.
She wanted to live her own life in her own way with her own friends, but she got involved with the wrong crowd.
Hull on the East Yorkshire coast is home to Annette Palmer's family. She grows up here in the 1970s. The oldest of 4 children, she's always had a willful personality.
She likes a lead, you know, you will do as you're told type of thing. When they was all together, they would play schools and she would be the top teacher. You would sit down and do as you're told, you know. But that was Annette.
Annette's closest to her younger sister, Leanne.
She was so messy. Makeup everywhere, tongs, because she was like sort of curling hair. It was nice to have girly chats, but she's not very shareable when it comes to her space, I'm afraid.
As Annette becomes a teenager, she starts to clash with her mum.
When she got 13, 14, she didn't want to be told what to do. She wanted to come in at her time. And no matter what I did, she still wouldn't stay. And she would climb out the bedroom window. If she was grounded, she would climb out the bedroom window.
She was always grown up for her age anyway. And then she found boys and she just like instantly changed into this woman. And then she got mixed in with the wrong crowd of boys.
And she just went off the rails.
Her rebelliousness takes Annette down a road that is every mother's nightmare.
One of her friends told me Annette had been experimenting with drugs. And I asked Annette about this and she denied it at first. And then I'd put a pair of her trousers in the wash and I just found this little packet, you know. And I knew then she was getting more into harder drugs. It was like cocaine and stuff like that. And then I found out she was using heroin.
By her mid-teens, hard drugs are a daily part of Annette's life. But when she marries at the age of 18, she does her best to kick the habit.
She started changing her life around and going back to being the person she she used to be, and been nice to know again.
For a while, Annette seems to be getting her life back on track. She has 3 children by the age of 24, but she's still struggling to stay off the drugs.
She wanted to go into rehab, which she did. She was fine about it, she came out, but then she went back on the drugs again, you know. She really did try, you know, but the friend she was with, she just wouldn't stay away from them.
Annette knows she has to get away from the bad influences that surround her in Hull. In 1996, she makes the decision to move to London while her mum Rosemary looks after her 3 young children.
She won't send an address because as she said, she was still trying to sort herself out. She sent letters, you know, sending the children presents, and it went on for months and months.
Although she can't be with her children, Annette does everything she can to stay in touch with them.
She was ringing, she was phoning the children, and then all of a sudden, nothing. Nothing whatsoever.
Still to come, Annette makes contact.
She rang us, and she actually asked if we'd take the children to Hyde Park.
But the family reunion doesn't go to plan.
Mum rang me absolutely devastated.
And if you think you can help find Annette, then please call Missing People on 0500 700 700. Landline calls are free, but mobiles will vary. Annette's mother Rosemary and son Sean will be here in the studio just a little later.
Yes, your calls could help trace Annette and others like her. George from Missing People is here. Let's get a bit of an update on Alan Templeton. He's 26. He went missing from Edinburgh, and we were talking about him last week, particularly on Friday. You've had quite a few calls, haven't you?
And we have, and we received a further 20 calls as a result of the appeal on Friday. Since the programme's been running, we've had a phenomenal response from the public, calls from all over the country, which have all been passed to police, and we're really, really hoping that some of those calls will, you know, give some shed some light on the situation.
So the police will follow up the calls that you've had, will they?
Absolutely, yes.
Also, we had his mum and dad in here, and they made the point they just really want to know he's safe. And actually, if someone is missing, they can call you, can't they, and give a message to home?
Yes, they can. And we do have a message home service, which is confidential for adults who are away from home, just to pass the message back to their family to say they're OK. So, you know, if Alan is watching this programme and would like to make contact, he can do that.
Yeah, so if people actually don't want to perhaps talk to their families, they can at least let them know they're safe.
Absolutely.
We've had those calls on Alan, but we still need more calls if people have seen him, don't we?
We do. I mean, there's a lot of concern from family and friends are really, really worried, and we just want to put an end to their worries and just hope that we can do.
OK, George, thanks very much. And if you can help in any way, please call Missing People. They are waiting for your call right now.
Back to the case of Eddie Gibson. He's been tracked down 6,000 miles from home, but his parents' relief is to be short-lived.
Eddie Gibson falls in love with South East Asia during his gap year in 2004. He's just 18. When he gets back to England, he can't settle into his new life as a student at Leeds University. His family back in East Sussex are in regular phone contact, but 2 weeks into his first term, they suddenly can't get hold of him. Eddie has disappeared. His passport and wallet have gone too. His mum and dad contact the police in Sussex. Checks are made with the Foreign Office to try and establish if he's left the country. 4 days later, there's news from the British Embassy in Bangkok.
Eddie had actually entered into Thailand on the 6th of October, and on the 9th of October had actually crossed the border from Thailand into Cambodia, so I knew where he was. Oh, it was just such a relief to know that he was okay and that he wasn't laying in the gutter somewhere or in a hospital. I got an email from Eddie telling me that he was really, really sorry, that university life just wasn't for him. He'd gone away for a few weeks just to actually clear his head and decide what he wanted to do with his life over the next 3 years. But he would be coming home on the 1st of November He said, I really look forward to seeing you, Mum. Take care, and I love you with all my heart.
We were just overjoyed. I mean, we were just so happy. It was just, you know, such a tremendous relief. We went up to Heathrow to meet the flight.
Mike and I stood there as all these passengers came through. We kept eagerly looking at every single one, thinking, right, Eddie'll be through any minute. I wonder what he looks like. What's he going to say to us?
And we waited and waited. He didn't show.
Horror just hit me. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, what's happened here?
His mum speaks to an airline rep to get more information.
She said, I'm really sorry, but Eddie didn't check in at Bangkok for the flight.
What has happened to stop Eddie coming home? Five weeks later, his dad, Mike, and brother, Elliot, fly to Cambodia to try and find him.
We saw the British Embassy out there, the police, as many of the authorities that we could. In a period of a couple of weeks, we went round putting posters up. Of course, showing his photograph in bars and so on. And we had so many people, oh, we've seen this boy, and it turned out not to be him, so 4 sightings.
Then, on the last day of their trip, they finally have a breakthrough.
We had used a taxi driver that looked after us, and we'd given him the poster, and he said, a friend of mine, who's also a taxi driver, recognises your son. He took him to this guest house, and we went to the guest house. And I asked to see the register.
Most of the names are quite clear. The one name that wasn't clear and actually stood out from that because it was a bit of a scribble. Was the handwriting of Ed's, and you couldn't clearly see what the name was and what it said, but it was clearly Ed's handwriting.
It was just, we then knew that he had stayed there.
Later on Missing Live, Mike and Joe start a global internet campaign to find their son.
We were getting 30 to 40 emails a day.
And then some video footage is discovered of Eddie in Cambodia.
Someone, somewhere, must know something. Eddie's parents need your help to bring him home. If you know anything about where he might be, please call Missing People. The number is on your screen now.
Another young man who's gone missing abroad is 36-year-old Danny Hall. He disappeared 9 weeks ago. He went to a beach party on the island of Koh Phangan in Thailand. Although he made a phone call to a friend the next day, Danny hasn't been seen since. He's 5'10" with short, dark hair. If you have any idea where Danny might be, then please call Norfolk Police on 0845 456 4567. Or, of course, you can call Missing People.
Now, since Missing Live has been on air, we've had lots of emails from people who are searching for someone. One of the emails was from a family who've been reunited after 32 years apart. With me now are long-lost siblings, Mike, Paul and Sarita. Morning to you all. Thank you so much for telling us your story, actually. Paul, let's start with you, because you were adopted, weren't you, when you were 7?
Yes, when I was 7.
And did you know that you'd been adopted? How did it work for you?
I knew that I was adopted. I have vague memories of the first weekend that I went up to Rotherham. It was supposed to be a weekend, but it turned into a week. And while we were walking along the beach, I suddenly turned around to my adoptive mother and I asked her if I could call her mum. And she said, that was it, you were mine.
Gosh,
and,
what a moment.
Yeah.
And you were 14 when Paul left, and you tried to stop your mum, didn't you, having him adopted?
It was first mooted, I think, about a year beforehand, because Mum was disabled, also a single-parent family. She was under some pressure from a prospective partner that he wouldn't be able to take on a wife and 3 children. She had a nervous breakdown. We were fostered one summer holiday. Sarita was fostered with a separate family, Paul and myself together. And when we came out of the foster home back into the family home, it was shortly after then that the process began. And Paul was taken away.
Sarita, you were quite little, actually.
Yeah, I was 5 at the time.
Did you miss him, though?
Yes, it was very hard, yeah, it was really hard. Couldn't really talk to my mum about it, you know, because for reasons. And it was hard, yeah, so it was very upsetting.
Now, interesting, because you two, Mike and Sarita, were looking for Paul, weren't you? And how was that process? Was it difficult? You didn't find him, did you?
No, it was very hard. We tried with Bradford Social Services and all sorts.
There's various charities that you can contact, and we got nowhere there. Bradford Social Services basically didn't seem to be in a position to help us. The response we got was, it's nobody's role to do the job. And we just got nowhere.
But Paul, who was it? It was your wife finally managed to find them.
Jade, my little list of
Hi, Jade. If it wasn't for her, it wouldn't be possible.
My mum,
yeah,
my adoptive mother,
yeah,
Irene, she asked me when I was 18 if I wanted to trace. My view of it was, well, that part of my life is in the past. And that had been my view for years, but Jade had persisted a few times. And she actually did a few things without me knowing, and suddenly she hit on a website with Sarita's name in Portsmouth, which not too many Saritas. And that's where it all started.
Okay, so I know that you met up in only August last year. I kind of want to hear from all of you. Sarita, you've been waiting for this moment for many years.
Yeah.
You cried, didn't you?
I fell to the floor when I found out, when Mike phoned me and told me.
The way it happened, Jade first of all sent a letter to where Sarita used to live, but she'd moved out 3 months before the letter arrived. So Sarita never got that letter. I'd registered basic details on the Genes Reunited website, and it was through that Jade sent a very, very short email one day.
And you eventually got it. I want to come to the moment when you finally met, because I know you were really nervous, weren't you, Paul?
Oh God, yeah.
And what happened? You two met first. What was it like?
We didn't know what to do. It was one of those moments where you don't exactly know how to act.
Paul didn't think I was going to be there. And his jaw just dropped on the floor.
Yeah, Mike said, we got into the house and we were talking, and then suddenly Mike said, I've got somebody who wants to meet you. And Sarita came in from the living room, and it was just kind of a bit mad, wasn't it?
Yeah, very.
As you can probably tell from the accents, we live some distance apart. Sarita lives on the south coast, we live in Yorkshire. So.
Sarita, I know that you cried when that happened. How much difference has it made to you that you finally got him back?
It makes every difference for anybody that's trying to find anybody. Just keep trying. So.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Thank you to Genes Reunite as well, you know.
And you're obviously, I can see, you know, you're great friends now. You're going to stay in touch, aren't you?
Oh God, yeah.
God, yeah.
I've just spent the weekend with Sarita in Portsmouth. Drove down Friday night and drove back Sunday morning for my daughter's 6th birthday party. And then we came down last night.
OK, well, it's really excellent that you got in touch with us and came to tell us your story. Thank you very much. That's brilliant. And you've also been emailing your stories about reunited families. I've got a few examples here. This is Celia. She was adopted in 1953, she told us. 2 years ago, she managed to trace her 5 brothers and sisters. She says that the family likeness is undeniable, and she feels like she's known them forever, a bit like these guys as well. Thank you for those. And if you've got any more stories to tell us, please do email them to us, missing.live@bbc.co.uk. Also, if you've lost contact with someone, there are a number of things that you can do to find them. Later on in this week, we're going to show you some of the ways you can trace people.
Now, last week we brought you the case of missing grandmother Kay Hawke. She drove away from her home in North Cornwall just after Christmas 2006. Neither she nor her car have been seen since.
Well, as part of that search for Kay, the police tracked all vehicles across the region. They used a system, it's called automatic number plate recognition. And here is how it works.
ANPR needs 2 things. It needs a camera and it needs a set of software, and the camera will capture the number plate and it will feed that image into the ANPR software. It will cross-match that number plate with databases which may run into multi-millions of number plates, and it will give the operator a result instantaneously. We can travel down this road and we've got quite a lot of traffic travelling towards us, and the ANPR system will just capture all these number plates. If it alarms, it will give an audible alarm. The officer can look at the screen, see what the message is telling him, and he can then make the decision whether to go and stop the vehicle. If the police have information that a vehicle has been involved in an abduction, or where a missing person has gone away or has disappeared, and they have a number plate, the police will input those details, and that information is disseminated across all the other police forces, which enables instantaneous processing of a number plate if it's captured on a camera.
Now, the man in charge of the search for Kay Hawke is Detective Constable Martin Skinner, and he's on the phone now. Good morning.
Good morning, Ralph.
Morning. You're very faint, but can you just tell us have you got any updates for us on Kay's disappearance?
Well, there has been a good response from the public. We've had over 44 unconfirmed sightings of Kay in about 14 cities throughout England, but unfortunately, we still haven't found Kay.
Oh, fantastic response, though. So tell us about this car. How are you getting on with that? Have you traced that yet?
Well, the vehicle's still outstanding, and as we said before, we can find the vehicle, of course. We think we'll be able to find Kay, and we have used the ANPR system, as you've just been talking about, in an attempt to identify the location of the vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, the car is an absolutely crucial lead, isn't it? You mentioned the ANPR system, and from experience, I know that that's not just a localised thing, is it? It's sort of nationwide, if Kay's car was to activate one anywhere in the country, isn't it?
It is. In fact, the ANPR is, in fact, a national resource, and it's linked to our police national computer as well. So, of course, if the vehicle was to pass through one of our fixed or mobile sites, then, of course, the software would activate, as our colleagues have just mentioned on the short link a second ago.
Absolutely. So when was the last confirmed sighting of this vehicle, then? Do we know?
Well, we haven't had a confirmed sighting, of course, since the vehicle's been missing, along with Kay, other than New Year's Day 2007. But, of course, the vehicle was on the family drive the morning it went missing.
Yeah, this is a real mystery. Well, listen, at least you're getting a response, and I really, really hope that it leads to something positive, as we all do. Thanks for joining us, and good luck with the appeal. If you can help in the search for Kay, then please call Missing People. The number's on your screen right now.
Just 2 weeks ago, 14-year-old Robin Seiko went missing from Swanley in Kent. She's 5 foot tall, with brown eyes and shoulder-length curly hair. Now, she was last seen, she was wearing a green hooded jacket and jeans and was carrying a blue plastic sports bag. There is a possibility she may be in the Crystal Palace or Croydon areas of South London. If you can help in the search for Robin, please get in touch. The number is on your screen now.
Now, back to the case of Annette Palmer. There's been no word from her for 6 months. Then, her mother gets a call.
38-year-old Annette Palmer is from Hull. In 1996, in her mid-20s, she decides to move to London for a fresh start after struggling with drug addiction since her teens. Her 3 children are looked after by her mum back up north. Although her family know nothing about her life in the capital, she keeps in regular contact. After 6 months away from home, Annette is keen to see her family.
She rang us and she actually asked if we'd take the children to Hyde Park. Oh, they were really excited.
Rosemary sets off with her grandchildren in April 1995 on the 220-mile journey from Hull to the capital. They arrive at midday and make their way to Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park.
Even though it was April, May, it was a little bit chilly. They didn't have their coats with them, you know. We kept trying to say to him, look, just run around, try to keep yourself warm. Oh, Nana, when's my mum coming? You know, I said, oh, she may be a little bit busy, just trying to think of anything and everything, you know, just keep the mind off it. But the thoughts were just going right, this is not Annette, she would have been here. And after quite a few hours, we'd said, look, this is enough. Your mum's busy, let's go back to the hotel.
Mum rang me absolutely devastated. that Annette had not turned up.
We said we'd come back the next day, which we did. Annette never showed.
She's been looking forward to seeing her children. This is totally out of character. Rosemary reluctantly returns to Hull and reports Annette missing. From there, she keeps trying to contact her daughter.
We tried ringing and the phone had just been cut off. And we tried a mobile, but we couldn't contact her anymore. But because of the lifestyle Annette was leading, there was more worry there.
The police investigation and campaign by the organisation Missing People is hampered from the start by the lack of any information about her life in London. Rosemary starts her own search for her daughter and returns to the capital many times with her grandchildren in the following years.
These are some of the things we took down London to put up. These are the ones the children did. Mum, we would like to know if you are safe and well. If anyone has seen our mum, please will they contact missing persons or any police station. Her 3 young children would just like to know she is safe.
The family have distributed thousands of posters around London since 1995. But Annette has never made contact and her disappearance remains a mystery.
Do you remember that time when Annette fell in here when she was feeding the ducks?
Yeah.
She got so cute.
And old Pete fell out the tree behind there.
Oh, no.
13 years on, her mum Rosemary and sister Leanne have brought up Annette's 3 children.
She'll be real pleased how Terry's turned out. She'll be really proud of him.
They are now young adults trying to make their own way in the world.
He's good looking. He's got a well-paid job. I'd like to see her face if she saw her kids and how much they've grown up and see how well they've done.
Does what she does.
The family are still hopeful that one day Annette will come back into their lives. Her mum treasures the few cards and letters she sent her in happier times.
What is special is this Mother's Day card. And it was the last correspondence I had from Annette, which was sent 20th of February 1997. And I just want you to know that I am still thinking of you, even after all that's happened. I miss my kids so much, and you will always be my one and only mother. All the best. Wishing you a very special day. Love your daughter, Annette. And that comes out every Mother's Day.
And Annette's mum, Rosemary, and her son, Sean, are here. Thank you both for coming into the studio. I know it's hard for you. We've just seen there, she was clearly quite a troubled young woman. Do you think she distanced herself from her family in a way to protect them?
No, Annette wouldn't do that. You know, she knew they were safe with me. She knew they were protected. You know, she just wanted to get her life in order. You know, and she said she had to go away for a while. She would keep in contact, which she did, with letters, telephone calls, you know, presents for the kids, letters for the kids, you name it, Annette did it for quite a while. And then all of a sudden it stopped.
I mean, it must have been really hard for you bringing up her children, surely.
Yeah, because there was 3 of them after bringing up 4 of my own, you know, but I did it because I wanted to, not because I had to. You know, they were Annette's children. I knew how much she loved them, you know, and she wouldn't do anything to hurt them in that way by going off, not saying where she was going. Because the children had a telephone, a mobile where they could phone the mum, you know. And an ordinary telephone, wasn't it, as well? A house phone where they could ring to.
Okay. So when was the last time you actually saw her? It's a long time ago, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, there's that day in Hyde Park. The day that... Tell us about that. What was going through your mind that day?
We'd arranged to meet in Hyde Park at Speaker's Corner. I knew where Speaker's Corner was, so that was no problem. Annette kept in contact, and we got to Hyde Park with the children. We waited. She didn't turn up. Now, that's not like Annette. you know, not at all.
Sean, were you there that day? Do you remember at all? I mean, you must have been very, very young. Can you remember that?
No, I don't really know nothing about my mum because she left me when I was 8 months old, so I've been with my grandma since.
Okay. Have you seen pictures of her?
Yeah, I've got some cards from her, which was for Christmas and my birthday, but she didn't send me any presents or anything.
Okay. How many brothers and sisters have you got then?
I've got one brother and one sister, Terry and Paula.
And are they older than you?
Yeah, Paula's like 18 and Terry's 21.
So they're a little bit older. Do they ever tell you things about your mum? Stories about her, perhaps?
Not really, but they do try and tell me about her, but I don't know.
Okay. How do you feel now, then, about your mum? What do you think about?
I would like my nana to find her daughter because then she'd like feel better and Paula would stop, have more confidence to stop what she's doing and everything, and Nana would feel better.
I mean, if she was watching this now, is there anything that you would say to her?
I would want her to keep in touch and like tell us how she is and everything.
Okay. And what about yourself? If she was watching this, what would you say to her now?
I'd say, Annette, you have 3 children grown up now. Sean was 8 months old when she last saw him. Terry is now 20. Paula's 18, you know.
Yeah.
Please just contact somebody to say you're okay. You don't have to contact me or the family if you don't want to. We would just like to know you're okay. Sean has never met you, but now look at him. He's 13, going on 14, Annette. Please contact somebody to say you're okay.
Yeah, okay. Then, well, thank you both very much for coming in. I really, really hope that we get a good response and we can find out where she is.
Because we love her very much, don't we?
Of course. Well, thank you very much. And, of course, if you've any information about Annette, then just please call Missing People.
Let's take you back to the case of Eddie Gibson. He's missing 6,000 miles from home, and his parents just want to know that he's safe.
Eddie Gibson is expected to come home from a holiday in Cambodia on November the 1st, 2004. His mum and dad go to meet him at Heathrow, but he doesn't turn up. A month later, his family fly to Phnom Penh to look for him. They find Eddie's signature in the register of a guest house, but there's no sign of him. Two months later, his mum travels to Cambodia.
I spent 2 weeks actually searching, getting as much posters as we could, put in all the guest houses and all the bars and the restaurants in the hope that somebody would remember seeing Eddie.
Back in England, the rest of the family are trying other tactics.
We got a website launched, and we had daily all sorts of inquiries from all over the world. We were getting 30 to 40 emails a day.
A week later, Joe meets a young Cambodian who was with Eddie just before he was due to go home.
Through my posters, a young girl came forward, which was Amy, and she had spent 2 weeks with Eddie during his time in Cambodia.
Eddie is with Amy when her father suddenly dies. This video footage taken at the funeral shows him just 2 weeks before he's meant to go home.
Seeing the video of Eddie at this Cambodian funeral was the toughest thing I've ever experienced. The good thing about it was he looked healthy and strong, you know, as a good-looking, lovely boy. But it was very, very hard.
Eddie should have been home 2 weeks after the funeral, but he never made it back to England. His family have made 5 more trips to Cambodia, but they haven't been able to find him. He's now 23. It's 3.5 years since he missed his flight home from Thailand.
Life for me changed the day that Eddie went missing. It will never, ever be the same.
There is always that feeling inside you. It's like you've constantly got a little knot inside your stomach.
We don't know what's happened to Eddie, for sure. And whilst we've got that hope and we've still got some energy, we will still believe there's a possibility we may see him again.
Eddie's parents need your help to bring their son home. If you have any information on where he may be, then please call Missing People. The number's on your screen now.
We've just enough time to remind you of a few of the cases that we really need your help with.
Mother of 3, Annette Palmer, vanished after travelling to London from her hometown of Hull back in 1995. Despite a call home 6 months later, Annette hasn't been seen by her family since.
14-year-old Robin Seiko, she's been missing from Swanley in Kent for 2 weeks, and there is great concern for her because of her age. She was last seen wearing a green hooded jacket and jeans.
A 19-year-old Eddie Gibson failed to board his flight home from Cambodia on November the 1st, 2004. His family badly wants some news that can help return him home.
Also still missing is 15-year-old Amy Fitzpatrick. She disappeared on the 1st of January after babysitting in Calahonda in Spain.
So if you can help in any way, then please call Missing People. All calls, remember, are confidential. And so far in this series, 4 people have been found.
So your calls really can make a difference. On tomorrow's programme, we'll have updates on all of our appeals, plus 14-year-old Andrew Gosden. He's been missing from his home in Doncaster for 7 months. Following our appeal for information, there have been a lot of potential sightings and calls as well. His dad, Kevin, has been down in London doing his own search for his son. He'll be here with us in the studio live tomorrow morning.
And he was on holiday in Benidorm when Derek Cross got separated from his friends. They had to return to England without him, hoping he'd follow, but he hasn't yet.
Yes, and just a couple of emails as well before we go.
Yeah, we've got, unfortunately, these aren't the most positive. Keith French, who hasn't seen his sister in 40 years, would really like help in trying to trace her.
Yeah, we're talking about tracing relatives. We'll have more on that later in the series. Graham Webb is writing from Belgium. He's searching for his half-brothers, Anthony and Barry. His mum told him about his dad, called Dennis Webb. He hasn't been able to trace his father or the 2 children his father had when he remarried. And just one last email as well. Sandra is searching for her son, who was adopted in 1982, aged 2. She called him Mark, but he might have been given another name. He's got brothers and sisters who his mum would like him to meet.
Brilliant. Very quickly, calls are coming in. Paul Hopkins was one of the appeals we featured recently. Missing since 16th of April, over 2 weeks from Bracknell, Berkshire. We're speaking to his family. We're getting some stuff in on him, and we will certainly bring you more on that later this week.
We will indeed. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, our regular time. It's 9:15. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.